Chapter 11. When I met up with Emma on Tuesday, she seemed to be feeling better. I knew she wasn't over the issue. She wouldn't be for a long time. But I knew she was going to have a better day than she had yesterday. Won't it be weird that Teddy will be your dad? Emma asked on our walk to school. I guess I hadn't really thought of him like that. I mean, he'll still be Teddy. I won't call him Dad. She wrinkled her nose. It's still going to be weird with him living there and everything. I don't know. I think it'll be cool having Teddy live with us. I like him. Plus, he makes really good food. Emma nodded her head in agreement. We met up with Derek before the final bell rang and all walked to class together. Emma was still on the topic of my mother's marriage when we entered the classroom and took our seats. Yeah, that's just gonna be a big change, Derek agreed. I shrugged. I don't know. Teddy spends a lot of time with us anyway. He just doesn't sleep at our house. When are they getting married? Derek asked. And am I invited? I rolled my eyes at him. They haven't set a date. And I'm sure you'll be invited, Derek. If you're not, you can be my date. But I'll be sure that you're on the guest list. He smiled at that. And me, Emma chimed in. Make sure I'm on the guest list too. Then we can triple date. She shot Derek a glance that I couldn't quite read. Yes, you'll both be invited. I'm sure your parents will be too. When I said this, I immediately regretted it, but when I looked at Emma, she didn't seem fazed by it. She just smiled and opened her textbook. When I got to our table at lunch, Derek and Emma were arguing again. Wait, Dustin is dating Haley or Rachel? Derek asked. Actually, I intervened, ready to set the record straight. Dustin broke up with Haley to date Rachel, and Rachel broke up with Brandon to date Dustin. But now Rachel is cheating on Dustin with Brandon, and Haley hates Rachel for taking her boyfriend. They both stared at me with wide eyes. Crap. How did I even know that? It just came out. Emma grabbed for me, her nails digging into my arm. We need to talk. Emma forced me to abandon my food as she dragged me to the bathroom and very quickly checked the stalls to make sure they were empty. How did you know all that? She hissed. I honestly wasn't entirely sure. Should I just tell her I heard it through the grapevine, or is this my chance to tell her about my abilities? I thought. I just said it so you guys would stop arguing. I lied. She shook her head. No, you didn't. I know, but how did you know? Honestly, I didn't care who was dating who, but Emma was more into social politics of high school. Wait, how did you know? I accused. Becca told me at practice. Oh, the perks of being on varsity, she mused. Look, Emma, it doesn't matter how I know about Dustin and Rachel. I stalled, unsure if this was the right time to admit about my abilities. Yes, it does, she said, digging her fingernails deeper into my arm. Becca told me that in the strictest confidence. If people know you know, they're going to think I told you because we're best friends. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone that I know about it, I promised. And I really meant it because I mostly didn't care who was dating who. And you're not telling me because you're mad that I didn't spill the beans on you. I didn't think you cared, but seriously, who told you? I sighed. I don't care, and no, I'm not mad at you for not telling me. You can keep your gossip to yourself. Tell me, she begged. I wanted to tell her that I was psychic so badly, but I didn't think it was the time or the place. I took the next few moments to weigh the cost and benefits of telling her. I thought about my mother's bravery when she had told Teddy, and I tried to muster up the same level of courage. Fine, I caved. Even if this wasn't the time, my need to confide in her overruled that logic. I lowered my voice even though no one was around. I'm psychic. She rolled her eyes. Seriously, just tell me. I am serious. Emma narrowed her eyes at me. I don't know. I know. I don't know how I know. I just do. Now, will you please let go of my arm? I pulled away from her, happy to have my arm back. She pursed her lips and crossed her arms. Come on, I know you probably promised someone not to tell, but I'm your best friend. You can tell me anything. Emma, I looked her dead in the eyes. I'm being serious. I just know things, okay? Prove it, she challenged. Either prove you're psychic or tell me how you knew about Dustin and Rachel. She stuck her hand behind her back. How many fingers am I holding up? 2, I answered automatically. Lucky guess. Now I can see your fingers in the mirror. She glanced over at the mirror, embarrassed. I let out a giggle. Emma joined in until we were engaged in a full-on laughing fit. I finally composed myself. Look, Emma, I couldn't care less about who's dating who at this school, but I care about you. If you don't believe I'm psychic, then how do you know that your parents are getting Then how do I know that your parents are getting divorced when you refused to open up to me yesterday? Emma's face fell and she gawked at me. Tears threatened in her eyes. Should I have said that? Or did I make a mistake? I'm sorry, she said quietly, her eyes still fixed on mine. I just found out. I pulled Emma into a hug. She didn't struggle away from me. It's okay. I'm sorry. I used my abilities to figure out what was bothering you. I won't do it again, okay? I felt Emma tremble in an attempt to hold back her sobs. A tear fell gently from her eye, and she wiped it away quickly. How'd you know that? My parents would have said anything. I told you, Emma, I'm psychic. Emma gave me a half-hearted smile. You sound crazy, you know that? I shrugged. Like it didn't bother me. As long as you believed me. She glared at me again in skepticism. I'm not sure. Remember your copy of Charlotte's Web you lent to Derek a while back? Her eyes lit up. Only my favorite book of all time. It's in his pencil case in his locker, shoved in the back behind his books. Derek's locker was such a mess. I didn't know how he found anything in there. Even Derek doesn't know he has it. So how would I know that if I weren't psychic? I knew he didn't give it back to me. I have to get him to open his locker. If it's not in there, she didn't finish. I suspected that it was because she couldn't think of a good enough threat. It'll be there, Emma. But I have to go to the bathroom. I turned into the stall and back to her. And Emma, please don't tell anyone, not even Derek. Emma rushed off as I entered one of the stalls. When I was done and at the sink washing my hands, I noticed motion in the mirror. I looked up to see one of the stall doors opening. I swung around to find Justine Hansen standing in front of me, her dark hair perfect and jeans skin tight. I hadn't heard her come in. Did she come in at the same time Emma left, or had she been there all along? How much had she heard? She stared at me and crossed her arms across her body as she leaned against the wall. Hi? I said, hoping to relieve the tension in the air. Her intense glare made me very uncomfortable. In case you're wondering, I heard everything you said to Emma. Her tone was difficult to read. It came off as a confusing cross between condescending and kind. I was just joking around, I tried, but my hands were trembling under the steam of the water as I had it. I hoped this would convince her. I did not want this spreading around school and having to relocate because of being a witch. She moved over to the sink and twisted the faucet to wash her hands at the same time. I turned to dry mine. No, you weren't. Come on, I argued. You don't really believe I'm psychic. She shrugged. I don't know. Maybe. I don't have to believe it. Then why do you care? I asked, crossing my arms over my own body to appear more confident. She shut off the water in the faucet and turned to me. Because whether you're psychic or not, Emma was genuinely surprised that you knew. You must be a pretty good detective. Crap. What did she mean? What did she want? Didn't my mother warn me this would happen if I told people? Not really, I tried. But she was so intimidating with her superior attitude and her foreign heels. Justine grabbed a paper towel to dry her hands. I need your help. She wasn't asking, she was demanding. Meet me at my locker after school today, okay? She tossed her paper towel in the garbage and turned to leave. And what if I don't want to help you? I challenged. It's not that I didn't want to help Justine. After all, she had always been friendly, even if she was currently frightening me on some level. The thing was that I didn't want this getting out the way it had on my mother. I didn't want a repeat of kindergarten. But what if she was in trouble and did need my help? Could I refuse that? She turned back to me, her hand on the door. If you don't at least try to help me, I'll tell the entire school that you're psychic. I know you don't want that, do you? No, I didn't. Oh, and one more thing, she said with a smile I couldn't quite read. Don't tell anyone you're helping me. There was nothing I could do but meet her at her locker after school and find out what she had in store. That is the end of chapter 11. Come back for chapter 12.